Today we're going to have a look at one of the Majjhima Nikaya suttas, middle length teachings, M41, entitled Sāleyyaka Sutta. Saleyyaka means the people of Sāla, the inhabitants of Sāla. Sāla is the name of a village or town in northern India, in Kosala. So they are Brahmins, householders. The Buddha visited them. So they asked the Buddha a question about karma. So we have the Sāleyyaka Sutta, the discourse to the Sāleyyakas, or the discourse to the inhabitants of Sāla, M41. The theme of this sutta is about karma and rebirth. Karma is the 10 causes of action. Here we have, in other words, the 5 precepts divided up into 10 kinds, 10 aspects. And also how this karma conditions and kind of influences our rebirth. Okay, let's look at the sutta. So this is quite direct, quite simple sutta, but it is important for us to remember the simple teachings. Like we should not say, "Oh, it's simple," and we forget about it. And that's what we need to practice most, right? Okay, let's go down to the translation itself. And here we are, Sāleyyaka Sutta, discourse to the Sāleyyakas, M41. Thus have I heard, at one time the Blessed One was wandering in Kusala country by stages on a teaching tour, with a large community of monks, and eventually arrived at a coastal village named Sāla. Okay. Now this Sāla probably means that the Sāla tree, sal tree, very popular in northern India, or it could refer to a big pavilion, right? You see probably lots of sal trees there. So here we see the Buddha in his normal, customary wandering and teaching around India. And this is one of the reasons why Buddhism became very successful. The Buddha was on his feet, literally, or sitting down, teaching. 9 months of the year. 3 months are rains. That'll be around July, August, September, around to October period, 3 months. And then the other 9 months, you'll be going around teaching. So this is during the teaching period. The sutta says he wanders, but he wanders in the sense of, imagine you have this person walking all the way from town to town. He does not take any public transport. There were no public transport those days, the way we have it. So he has to walk, and he doesn't ride horses or chariots. Walking is the normal way for the monks. Of course, nowadays you see monks taking vehicles and so on. I've heard in Thailand that there is a very old-fashioned group of monks who try to be very strict with the rules. So much so that they will not take any public transport. So wherever they go, they will walk. So they're really determined. It's quite amazing, huh? Because many other monks would try to modernize themselves, even fly around in jet planes and so on, but not this group of monks in Bangkok. All right, so the Buddha has this with a large community of monks. It's hard to say how many. The sutta just want us to know there's quite a few hundred, maybe 500. Usually the minimum is 500. Sometimes you may have up to 1,250. I just imagine, you can see, wow, the Buddha walking on the road, and he's at the head of it, and there are 500 monks walking probably 2 abreast, maybe 3, 4, I don't know. But they're walking in a row very calmly, following the Buddha. Occasionally, you may see this happening with our modern monks. I've seen some local monks, meaning those from Malaysia. They would walk from one town to the next for a few hundred kilometers. And of course, it's quite tiring for them. So they'll take breaks, and there'll be people who know about it and will be there to offer them water, and then of course dana, food. So that you have these few hundred monks following the Buddha. It's quite a scene, and you see all these monks. They're looking all alike. That's one thing, shaven head and then wearing yellow robe, and they're walking, following the Buddha. And very often, if you look in the front, you may wonder which is the Buddha. He looks like the other monks also, especially when he was younger. So you have this cariya, this walking. Section 2. The Brahmin house masters of Sāla heard this. Okay, these house masters, it's not 41 there. And this the Pali word is Dharmafaring. Okay, here it means they own a house. They're not really that rich, but they have their own house. It's a bit like us, like me. We have our own house, something like that. It said that they are Brahmins. So this is a Brahmin village, and they're living together, and they each have their own houses. And they heard of the Buddha's fame. So this next section, in section 2, is a convention, a literary convention, the Sutta convention, to show that the Buddha is well known to them. They have heard of the Buddha, they know about arahats, and they're keen to meet the Buddha. It also helps to imagine the situation 2,500 years ago. It's not like today, although India is urbanizing at the time. It's a slow process. I don't think you can find any place in Singapore to compare to this, but if you go to Malaysia, you get a better idea. So you find the towns are far apart, the smaller towns especially. And there are no highways with tarmac, they're all like, dust roads. And maybe some paved roads, I suppose, for the king. So you find the Buddha be walking along these pathways, and be very inconvenient if it is raining, because the road will be muddy and so on. And then if it is too hot, the road may be dusty. So usually they go in the morning, which is quite cool. And then when they collect their arms and they sit down somewhere and eat under trees normally. And if it is very hot in the daytime, they will rest under trees. But imagine the 500 monks. So it's not easy for them to get food along the way. So they have to walk until they reach a place where there are enough people to offer them alms. Of course, another way is they will share their food. So it's not like everyone is always ready to offer them food. It is rather depends on what they get, and then there's this idea of sharing. So when they get the food, then they look at their bowl, they say, okay. They don't say, I want to eat this, I want to eat that. They'll say, okay, they'll mix their food, they'll say, I'll just eat this much. And then the rest they will share. They will share with the other monks. If they are alone, if the monk is alone, he will eat what he can, or rather what he wants, what he needs to, rather. And the rest he would put in a corner where some animals is able to eat it. So that's another thing he may be able to do. There are rules about disposing of his food. For example, he should not be throwing food in water where there's life, water which is clean and clear, which people use. And you should not be throwing all this food in places where there are plants growing, right? So normally you would probably throw it under some safe spot under a tree, or some open, some way out, a little bit on the side, the space where animals can also eat the food. Right? So there are these basic environmental rules for the monks. So their life is very environment conscious, if you like, because we have so many monks wandering around. All right, so this the Buddha and this group of monks have reached this village of Sāla, and the people of Sāla, they've heard about the Buddha. Because this is Kusala, and Kusala is a very Buddhist country. And the king Despasinadi is a very devout friend of the Buddha. So here the sutta tells us the people of Sala know the Buddha. It is said that the recluse Gautama. So here the narrator is actually telling us the mind of the Sala people. So this is called the narrator is omniscient narrator. He's reading the mind of the audience. So the audience, the villagers think, okay, it is said that the recluse Gautama, a Sakya son who went forth from the Sakya clan, has been wandering or peregrinating in the kusala territories by stages with a large community of monks and has come to Sāla. About the Blessed One, this good report has been spread about thus. So too is he the Blessed One, for he is Arhat, fully self-awakened one, accomplished in knowledge and conduct, welfarer, knower of the worlds, unexcelled trainer of tameable persons, teacher of beings, human and divine, awakened, blessed. These are the 9 virtues of the Buddha. Having realized by his own direct knowledge this world with its gods, its maras, and its brahmas, this generation with its recluses and brahmins, its rulers and people, he makes it known to others. So he's a teacher. Yeah? All right, further down, he teaches the Dhamma, good in the beginning, good in the middle, good in the end, both in the spirit and in the data. He proclaims the holy life that is entirely complete and pure. So in this is a statement to show the Buddha is around, right? He has, through his own effort, awakened, become Buddha, and then he is teaching the Dhamma to the people, and there are those who came to listen to him, became monks, and became just like him, arahats. And the last sentence says, it is good to see such arahats. In other words, most of them are happy that the Buddha has come along to their village. I mean, this is something, it is a special event because you can imagine that this kind of village is far away, very quiet, nothing happens, so to speak. They go about their daily routine, you know. So when the Buddha comes along, it is something, it is an event, it's a special, happy event. So they are very happy, and they would come to see the Buddha in the evening, usually. 3. Then the Brahmin house masters of Sāla went up to the Blessed One. So this is when they're ready in the evening. So you can see them walking towards the Buddha this time in the evening with their families and children. Now this part, there's a slight humor if you look at this passage carefully. Some greeted the Blessed One and sat down at one side. It is quite normal, right? It's the most common. So this mentioned first. Some exchanged greetings to the Blessed One, and then, okay, I've read that. Some, having saluted the Blessed One with lotus palms, sat down at one side. Right, so the first group, they come to the Buddha, maybe they just bow quietly and then they sit down. And the second group, they put their palms together, they bow and then they sit down. Now the third group, some announce their name and clan before the Blessed One, and then sat down at one side. And now the anticlimax. Some kept silent and sat down at one side, right? So again here, when you read the sutta, you have to use your imagination. There's this crowd and this is what they're doing. So why do you think they kept silent and sat down at one side? They probably were not happy to come, because since the whole village have come, they also are forced to come, because if they don't come, then people will notice and say, hey, we didn't see you there, you know, so they have a lot of things to answer, so to speak. So they probably were not happy to see the Buddha, or they were not religious. You can imagine that situation here. So they quietly sit down in some place. So you find this everywhere, even in our modern times. So it is a very interesting observation the sutta narrator makes, right? All right, so now let's see what happens after they've come and assembled and everyone's ready. And the Buddha is also ready to teach. Section 4. Sitting thus at one side, the Brahmin house masters of Sāla said to the Blessed One. All right, here again you have this literary convention. It sounds as if the whole group of the whole village talk at the same time. When I was very young, that there was a cartoon, where all these people are in groups and they do everything in groups. They run around and racing, and they all talk at the same time. And it's not like that. Here, probably you have their leader will speak on their behalf, and that's what they all would like to say. And so this is the question they have. What is the cause, Master Gautama? Okay, here they are Brahmins, so they call the Buddha by name. They say, Master Gautama, what is the condition that some beings here, with the bodies breaking up after death, are reborn in the plane of misery, a bad destiny, a lower realm in hell? All right, so you see the underlying phrase is quite a common expression for the suffering states, the lower, the subhuman planes. And what is the cause, Master Gautama? What is the condition that some beings here, with the bodies breaking up after death, are reborn in a state of joy, in a happy destiny in heaven? Okay, so this is the question. Why are some born suffering, some are born happy? And the Buddha answers immediately, says, houselords, it is because of bearing against the Dharma, not practicing the Dharma, not living in the Dharma, okay? Because of this harmonious conduct, because of a life that lacks harmony, doesn't keep the precepts, it's not in harmony with other people, other things around us. There are some beings here, with the bodies breaking up after death, are reborn in the plane of misery, in a bad destiny, a lower realm in hell. Houselord, it is because of Dharmafaring, because of harmonious conduct. In other words, keeping the precepts, keeping the mind calm, practicing the Dharma, that some beings here, with the bodies breaking up after death, are reborn in a state of joy, a happy destination in heaven. So this is the short answer, right? Then the villagers reply 6, they say, we do not understand in detail the meaning of Master Gautama's word, made in brief without explaining in detail. It would be good if Master Gautama would teach us the Dharma so that we might understand in detail the meaning of Master Gautama's word. So here you see the Buddha giving a short answer, the thesis, as we would often say, and then the people want to know more details. Right? They say, we don't understand what you have said. Can you give us more details? So this is what the sutta is going to be about. The Buddha is going to tell us details of this statement we just made. Let's go down further. So the Buddha tells them to be prepared. I said, then listen, houselords, pay close attention, I will speak. So here you see the conditions are ideal for listening to the Dhamma. And they reply, yes, Master Gautama. This probably they may say together, in their own dialect, of course, in this case. The Brahmin house masters of Sāla replied in essence to the Blessed One. So say, yes, Master, so we are ready. Now the Buddha begins in serious the teaching on karma and rebirth. Okay? First, the Buddha starts talking about the unwholesome causes of conduct, and then, of course, you can guess it. The next part it talks about the wholesome conduct, and then of rebirth. He starts by the narrator tells us the Blessed One said this. Right? So this is like to authenticate this teaching. The Blessed One should have said this. It's not some other teaching, later teachings. Section 7. Houselords, threefold is the faring against the Dharma, this harmonious conduct through the body. Threefold is the faring against the Dharma, this harmonious conduct through speech. Threefold is the faring against the Dharma, this harmonious conduct through the mind. Okay, so here the Buddha is talking about 3 doors of action. Whatever we do, which is karma, we do through the body, through speech, through the mind, through bodily action, through talking, or through thinking, right? And the number to remember here is 3, 4, 3, right? 3 actions of the body, 4 actions of speech, and 3 actions of the mind. Then the Buddha goes on to talk about the 3 unwholesome bodily conduct. Okay, I'm sure many of you will say, oh yeah, I know this one, right? So these are the first 3 precepts. But still, we often say them, but sometimes when we want to think, we say, okay, what are the 3 precepts? And of course, we may remember, okay, first one is against killing, but sometimes we might forget the others. So it's good to know this. And more importantly, we are strengthened to practice the precepts as we listen to this sutta. So, A, unwholesome bodily conduct, and how houselords is the faring against the dhamma, disharmonious conduct through the body, threefold. Here, houselords, a certain person is one who destroys living beings, cruel, bloody-handed, given to cruelty and violence, merciless to living beings. Right? So here you see very clearly the Buddha saying you should not kill. Right? So if you wonder what does the Buddha mean, here you are. We have the reference, the classic reference here. So this person is cruel. He wants to cause suffering to others and destroys life. So this is a clear example of a case when someone kills. And this is done to the body, right? Then the next 2 also done to the body. Precept number 2, which is broken here. Here again, he takes the not given. I notice it's very clearly stated here. He takes the not given in a village or in a forest. He takes by way of theft the possessions of others that are of service to them. So here in this short little line, you have the gist of the value behind the second precept. Whether in a place where there are people living or a place where there's no one living, we should not take what's not given to us, not ours, basically. So here, notice, he takes away, he takes by way of theft the possessions of others that are of service to them. So here, those things belong to others, they work for it, they need to use it, and it's not fair that it's not good that we take it away from them. That's bad karma. All right. So this is the basic definition. Now, what does it mean? I mean, does it mean that when we go to the forest, we should not pluck any fruit in the forest which is ripe and you can eat it? Now, okay, here is where you have the difference between the layman and the monk. For the monk, a monk and nun and novices, definitely that is the case. A monk and nun should not be plucking any fruit. Okay, so he can only be offered whatever is proper and edible. So he should not be plucking anything. However, there are special occasions. For example, he may pick a fruit that is on the ground, perhaps. But if he's very careful, he would not do it because he doesn't want to think about it. Is it right? Is it wrong? So he'll just take what is given to him in the bowl. Okay. But for lay people, it's okay. Again, by okay, I mean it is not on a tree in someone's house. Because if you do that, you need to ask permission, for example. So common sense comes in here. So if you're in a forest, a wild forest, and there are trees and leaves, yeah, of course you can, kind of reasonably just take what you need and eat it. Now, what's interesting here is this. Let's say you are a monk and you are walking somewhere, whether it's a village or forest, and you see $100 bill on the ground. Now, as a monk, you cannot pick it up because then you break the rules. However, you can point out to someone else and say, look, something for you there. The monk can do that. So this is Vinaya, speaking from the Vinaya. Okay, so that the monk or nun is not, first of all, he's they are not supposed to be using money, and they're not supposed to pick it up, because if it's quite tricky, you know, because they pick it up taking a not given, it could be parajika, it could be, you know, breaking the serious rule, taking the not given, it means they fall from their state of being a monk. So these are things they have to consider seriously, right? So this is the second rule. And then come to the third one. Here again, houselords, here is the person breaking the precept. He commits sexual misconduct, falling into such conduct with those under the care of their mother. Okay, here you have 10 kinds of forbidden people. This teaching is a bit socially conditioned, right? So you have to imagine this the time of the Buddha in India. The person is not supposed to have a relationship with someone in the care of their mother, still the care of the father. So the parents still taking care of them, they're still young, or they are for some reason incapable. Number three combines father and mother, right? Because there are cases where only the mother takes a single mother and a single father. In that case, you have both parents taking care of them. Number four, they're under the care of their brother. Number five, under the care of the sister. Number six, under the care of a relative. So they're still dependents. So they need kind of permission of the carer of the guardian to be released, so to speak. And then the number seven, one protected by the Dharma. Here, Dharma can mean custom or can mean the law, right? Here, probably in modern times, you would say a ward of the state. In other words, here, by law, they are not ready for marriage. In India, at that time, there was such a case. Even today, you find that there are this idea of wards. That means they have guardians who are not their biological parents. That means they have no freedom yet at this stage. They're still young. Okay, number eight is quite understandable. One with the husband, right? And then number nine, one protected by law. For some reason, the law doesn't permit them to be married. Maybe they're divorced or still not completed yet, and so on. And number 10, even with one adorned with a string of garlands, in other words, betrothed to another, engaged to be married to another person. Oh, of course, you may ask a question here. Now, this is from a man's point of view, right? I mean, what about from the woman's side? Of course, this is where we apply the Nyatanitata Sutta from the Anguttara Nikaya, where the Buddha says, when you look at the sutta, you have to decide, is it a sutta, the meaning is complete and explicit, brought out, or is it a sutta where you still have to interpret it? It is socially conditioned, right? So this is a Niyata Sutta, the meaning has to be brought out, it is socially conditioned. In other words, on the word level, it doesn't completely apply to our time, because things are very different. We're not in India, or even in modern India, situation is different. So we adjust accordingly. Here, the precept is talking about someone who's not ready to be married, someone too young, or someone who's already married to another or going to be married to others. So these are people that the man should avoid, in other words. So the same goes the other way around. Because here in the Buddha's time, the women don't have all the rights they have today, right? So today you adjust this interpretation slightly to include the state of modern women too. Right? So there should be mutual respect for each other. Both the couple should be ready for one another, and this respect for each other, caring for each other, and so on. Okay? So that's the kind of balanced marriage or partnership. So that's the idea here. Right? So here, of course, here the rule is against sexual misconduct. So this is where The idea is to preserve the institution of the family. That the family is important for social functioning, social structure, even if you like, because this whole idea of human society is possible because of the family. If people are not married, you can imagine, I mean, if there is no idea of marriage at all, no idea of relationship at all, it can be very difficult to distribute property. Then you have lots of problems and quarrels. You do not know who is whose son, right? Because there are no fathers, no mothers, everyone kind of, they live like animals, as the Buddha says in one of the suttas on Hiri and Ottappa, moral shame, moral fear. So here you have, okay, father, mother, the child. So naturally the child will inherit the parents' property. He has the right to do that, and no one else can do that, can take away that property from him, legally that is. So you have this kind of structured relationship that allows peaceful transference of property, peaceful connection with each other, showing respect to each other and love to each other, of course. And then you find the family is possible, society is possible, progress is possible. So you see this, it's a big thing, like a pyramid. So it's not just about committing sexual misconduct. You have this whole system to maintain for good society, in other words. So there is a bigger picture there. So there's always this significance of the precepts, okay? Even though you go back to the second precept, taking the not given. See, the simple rule is this: if everybody were to steal, then nobody will work. And then you have this social problem, economic problem again. And number one, about killing, if killing was allowed, anyone can kill anyone, and no one will dare to go out. No one will, be willing to work in the outside because it's very dangerous to be alone and so on. So these three precepts, value of life, value of happiness, and value of freedom, keeps us safe, satisfied, meaning we have enough food to eat, and protection, and we live freely. So these are the three values behind these three precepts. Okay. So this part concludes. The Buddha says, thus, houselords, threefold is the faring against the Dharma, disharmonious conduct to the body. Okay. Now, in the next session, there'll be 4 on the on speech, on conduct to talking. Right. So this one we'll look at it after the break. We'll take a short break. It's now about 5 to 9. So please come back around 9. We'll take a short break here. All right, let's go. Okay, now we're in section 9, and the Buddha is going to talk about the 4 kinds of wrong speech, or the unwholesome verbal conduct. And now, houselords is the faring against the Dharma, this harmonious conduct, through speech fourfold. So what are the 4 kinds of wrong speech? Here, houselords, a certain person speaks falsehood. All right, so here we have the 4th precept. Here the Buddha is giving some examples of false speech. When questioned as a witness before a council, before a congregation, in the midst of relatives, in the midst of a guild or a company, in the midst of a royal court or a court of law, and questioned thus, come now, man, tell us what you know. Not knowing, he says he knows, or knowing, he says he knows not. Having not seen, he says he saw, or having seen, he says he did not see. Thus, consciously lying for his own sake, for the sake of others, or for some small material gain, so the person lies, right? So this is the first most important of the 4 kinds of wrong speeches is lying, right? In today's Straits Times of Singapore, there is a very interesting article. It says a couple of people, these graduates who are going to be sworn in as lawyers, they confessed that they have committed some wrong things. One of them said she has done some kind of, she has plagiarized a couple of paragraphs in her disease and so on. And another one confessed that she had shoplifted. I mean, it's amazing. It's amazing that someone would actually, tell the truth in this way. And they were suspended for a few months, but then after that, the what do you call, the head lawyer decides that they were honest enough and they really can change, and they were admitted as lawyers because they were honest. So you have a good example here where people are honest, right? So of course, we hope that they are fully honest, and we give them the benefit of the doubt, right? So this telling the truth is of course very important, very helpful. I'll talk more about this when we come to the positive side of the precepts. And then number 5, the next one, that is the second of the wrong speech. Here again, he speaks divisively. He breaks people friendships up. What he has said here from others, he repeats it there to others to divide them. What he has said there, he repeats it here to divide them. Thus he divides the united, who encourages the divided to remain so, or rejoicing in division, being pleased at discord, enjoying discord, delighting in discord, saying words conducive to discord. So here, meaning we say things which will break up friendship. This is very important, right? So we find, especially in Asian, traditional Asian communities, you have once someone is married, some in-laws will start talking something to their son or daughter about the other person and so on, and then the marriage becomes troubled. So that is why it is wise normally that is, for that reason also, you find couples move away on their own. So, and then you have the other problem, the old people are left alone and so on. So it cuts both ways, in other words, so that the old people should try their best to make sure the young people are happy and living in concord, and opposite of discord is concord. So you find if the parents teach their children since young to be friendly, to be truthful, to be kind to each other, and the parents live by example, then you have a happy family. So we have to be very careful not to break up the family in the first place, right? To be united. And of course, there are many challenges the family will face. Sometimes the family will face challenges from other religions, and from other people, other relatives, and so on. So it is really hard work to say things which will keep the family, at least, and of course, friends, united. So that's the message here. Do not speak words which will break up friendship, break up the family. Next, here again, he speaks harsh words. He utters words that are rough, hard, hurting to others, offensive to others, connected with angry, inconducive to mental concentration. Notice here what is being said. It is not conducive to concentration, because these are words which are really rough, and you don't feel happy hearing this, and it will affect your meditation also. That is why during meditation retreats, we are told to cut down on talking, right? So here, if you must speak with loving kindness, kind words, normal and kind words, in other words. So here is not to be overly sweet in a very strange way. Here the idea is to avoid harsh words, basically. And then number 7, here again, he chatters frivolously or utters useless talk. He speaks at the wrong time, speaks what is untrue, speaks what is unbeneficial. So notice here, the wrong time to speak. Sometimes people are very tired, or it's not the right time. And then he says what is not true, and then not helpful also. He speaks what is not the teaching, right? Nothing to do with the dhamma. What is not discipline, nothing to do with the precept, nothing to do with the vinaya. He speaks words not worth treasuring, not worth remembering. He speaks out of time, poorly reasoned, baseless, in other words. undefined, not clear, rambling, unconnected with the goal. In other words, there's no good purpose in it, not connected with the practice. So this is the fourth of the wrong speeches. It is frivolous talk. Right? So here the Buddha says, thus houselords, fourfold is the bearing against the Dhamma, disharmonious conduct, truth, speech. These four wrong speeches are to be avoided. Now we come to the three unwholesome mental conduct. So this one, okay, the three of body, four of speech, they are the precepts, elaborated in other words. Because normally in the five precepts, the precept about wrong speech is there's only falsehood is mentioned, right? So here the spirit of it, you have four kinds of speeches we must avoid. And the fifth precept against taking intoxicants and so on, you can say has to do with keeping the mind calm and clear, basically. So in a sense, that fifth precept is elaborated in this section C. It's broken through the unwholesome mental conduct. And how houselord is the faring against the Dhamma, disharmonious conduct with the mind threefold. Here, houselord, a certain person is covetous. Covetous, that means desiring what other people have. They see what other people have, they want it also. He covets the possession of others that are of service to them, thinking, oh, may what belongs to others become mine. Here, the idea is you want to have that particular thing, right? Not to work for it or go and buy it. So here is they want that thing. In a sense, to desire it also is not very helpful because we don't really need it. We've got to ask ourselves, do we need it, for example? Is it useful to us, right? 9, here again, he has a malevolent mind, a nasty mind, okay? A mind of wicked thoughts, thinking, may these beings be killed or slaughtered or wiped out or destroyed or not exist. So this is the opposite of loving kindness, right? So this is not a very good thought. Number 10, thus houselords, threefold. Oh, here is something is missing. You find you got to go down. Here again, he holds a wrong view with distorted view. A distorted vision, thinking thus, there is nothing given, nothing offered, nothing sacrificed. In other words, it doesn't believe in karma. There's no fruit or result of good or bad actions. Right? This is karma. There's no this world, there's no next world. Not believing in rebirth. There's no father, no mother. Okay, this one is like breaking the third precept in a really big way. It doesn't care for parents, not caring for family. There's no spontaneously born beings. Okay, this one is a bit tricky. Normally, when we talk about spontaneously born beings, we think of the devas, or we think of the those non-returners. Here, possibly it means that it has to do with rebirth also, that if you do good, you won't be reborn as spontaneously born beings as devas, or that you don't think that there are non-returners, and so on. So this is one of the false, wrong beliefs. Now, the last one is significant. There are no recluses or brahmins who, living rightly and practicing rightly, having directly known and realized for themselves this world and the hereafter, proclaim them. In simple terms, this person thinks that it's not possible to be good. Everyone is bad. So why practice to be good? Right? But here the Buddha says it is possible that anyone, whether Brahmin or not Brahmin, can become good. This is possible. That's why he's teaching the Dhamma. And they know this goodness and they go out to teach it to others. Right? So this is the last one. This is the fourth one. So these are the 10 wrong actions to be avoided. So there's a bit of a typo in this. That's why we need proofreading. And we will put up the correct one after this. So please download the corrected version. Okay? But the rest should be okay, I think. All right, so those are the negative karma. Now we look at the positive karma, the wholesome karma, the 10 wholesome conduct, and this is the happy side of it. Houselords, threefold is Dharmafaring, harmonious conduct to the body. Fourfold is Dharmafaring, harmonious conduct to speech. Threefold is Dharmafaring, harmonious conduct to the mind. So here we have again 3, 4, 3. 3 good actions of body, 4 good actions of speech, and then 3 good actions of the mind. And how houselords is Dharmafaring, harmonious conduct to the body, 3, 4. Right now, the Buddha defines in positive terms the practice of the first 3 precepts. First, against killing. Here, houselords, a certain person, having given up killing living beings, refrains from harming living beings, lays down the rod and sword, conscientious, merciful, dwells, beneficial, and compassionate to all living beings. All right. Lays down rod and sword. Rod and sword is, this is a saying. The rod is the stick, danda, or danda in Pali, and Malay become danda. Danda means to be punished in some way, like to be fined. And so, but of course, the older meaning is stronger. Here in India, even today, you see the police will use a rod, okay? So in other words, this is corporal punishment, and there's a sword. Sword is more serious. You can kill someone, so that's capital punishment. Corporal means body. So the body is hit, right? That's why it's called corporal punishment. Now you have capital punishment. Why capital means capita means head in Latin. It means the heads get chopped off with a sword. So that's why it's called capital punishment. So here, the one who keeps the precept against killing is neither violent nor does he go around killing people. Conscientious, be very careful, respectful of others, making sure it doesn't hurt people, merciful, forgiving, and it dwells beneficial and compassionate to all living beings. So we respect and take care of other beings also. And we keep our house clean so that we don't invite other ants and cockroaches to come, right? So that we don't have to kill them, right? So all these animals coming to disturb us because it reflects on our habit. We didn't keep the house clean enough and so on. So part of the precept is keeping the house clean and the environment clean and so on, all right? So this one is against killing, because there's so many things to talk about this actually. And then the next one is against stealing, right? Here defined in a positive way. Here again, having given up, taking the not given, he refrains from taking the not given in a village or in a forest. He does not take by way of theft others' possessions that are of service to them, right? So it's quite clear already, right? So now we go to number 3. Here again, having given up sexual misconduct, he refrains from sexual misconduct. So here the keyword is refrain. He doesn't have relationship with these 10 kinds of people, not falling into such a conduct with those under the care of their mother, under the care of their father, under the care of their parents, under the care of their brother, under the care of their sister, under the care of their relatives, protected by the Dharma or by law or custom, one with a husband, a protected woman, not even one with one adorned with a string of garlands, that is, who is betrothed to another. This houselord, thus houselord threefold is Dharmafaring, harmonious conduct through the body, right? Now we go on to speech, right? 13, there are 4 kinds of right speech. So the Buddha says, here we go to number 4. Here, houselord, a certain person having given up speaking falsehood refrains from speaking falsehood. When questioned as a witness before a council, before a congregation, in the midst of relatives, in the midst of a guild or a company, in the midst of the royal court or a court of law, and questioned thus, "Come now, man, tell us what you know." Not knowing, he says he knows not, and knowing, he says he knows. Having not seen, he says he did not see, and having seen, he says he saw. Not consciously telling a lie. Thus, for his own sake, for the sake of others, or even for some small material gain, right? So he doesn't consciously tell a lie in this case, right? Here again, Next one, 5. Here again, having given up divisive speech, he refrains from divisive speech. What he has said here from others, he does not repeat it there to others to divide them. What he has heard there, he does not repeat it here to divide them. Thus, he is one who unites the disunited, on a bit more, or who discourages the divided from remaining so, not rejoicing in division. He is pleased at concord, enjoying concord, delighting in concord, saying words conducive to concord. Of course, here there are issues. For example, let's say you hear something which is really risky, dangerous, and that you if you don't tell the other person, they might get hurt or they might be put in danger. So this is where you have to think carefully. What can you do about it? Okay, it's not just okay, I must tell them. It's not just simple as that. You got to consider the consequences of your action. Because if you remain silent, the person could die, could be killed, for example, right? But in telling the person to say run away or be safe, right, you save the person's life. So you got to consider all this, right? It's not something very simple. That's why there are other precepts, because you have to think for yourself very carefully what to do, what not to do, basically. Next, number 6. Here, having given up harsh speech, he refrains from harsh speech. He utters words that are blameless, pleasant to the ear, touching the heart, urbane, loved by the masses, pleasant to the masses. So here basically speaking in a way which makes people happy. They want to listen to you. They feel calm when you talk to them. That's the idea here. 7, here again, having given up frivolous talk, he refrained from frivolous talk. He speaks at the right time. He speaks what is true, speaks what is beneficial, speaks what is the teaching, the dhamma, and what is the discipline, vinaya, the precepts. He speaks words worth treasuring, spoken in time, at the right time, well-reasoned, well-defined, not rambling, connected with the goal. So these are the 4 kinds of right speeches, right? So you have the 10 right speeches. Sorry, not yet, still another 3 more of the mind. Okay, so you have 7 now, 3 more. The mind. Let me just jump straight to number 8. Here, houselord, a certain person is not covetous. He doesn't desire what others have. He covets not the possession of others that are of service to them, thinking, oh, may what belongs to others become mine. He's contented and happy. He practices mudita. Oh, may this person be well and happy. He deserves it. That's how we do it. 9. Here again, he is one without a malevolent mind. A mind without wicked thoughts, thinking, may these beings be free from hate, free from suffering. May they be free from war, free from trouble. May they continue to be happy. So this is a practice of loving kindness. Here again, he is one with right view. Okay, this is the last one, number 10. He is right view. Without distorted vision, thinking, there is what is given, what is offered, what is sacrificed. So in other words, giving is good practice. There is fruit and result of good and bad actions. Right? Good that you do will bring good results, and the bad will bring bad results. There is this world and the next world. I mean, you can do something bad now, and you may not see the fruit here, but there is life to come. There is mother, there is father, right? So there are parents, and this makes us human. We have this relationship. There are beings that are reborn. Okay? So if you don't see your karma in this life, you see in the next life. There are beings who are reborn. There are recluses and brahmins who, living rightly, practicing rightly, having directly known and realized for themselves this world, the hereafter, proclaim them. So there are good people. Don't give up the idea that there's no such people around. There are good ones if you look around. And so these are 3 good mental actions. Altogether, you have the 10, right? So here the first part is concluded. The Buddha says, houselords, it is because of such Dharmafaring, because of harmonious conduct, that certain beings here, with the bodies breaking up after death, are reborn in a state of joy, a happy destination in heaven. So these last 10 are happy ones. The earlier 10, they bring us bad karma. And rebirth also is bad. Now, in the closing part, the Buddha gives something extra to the people of Sāla. He talks about how they can actually wish for happy rebirth if they want to. Of course, through practicing good karma. 15. If houselords, the Dharmafaring, notice this is the Dharmafaring, one of harmonious conduct, those who have kept the precepts, should wish, oh, how I wish, with the bodies breaking up after death, I would arise in fellowship with wealthy nobles, the kshatriyas, like the Buddha's clan. It is indeed possible for him, with the bodies breaking up after death, to arise in fellowship with wealthy kshatriyas. What is the reason for this? He is a Dharmafaring, one of harmonious conduct. So here the Buddha says, if you keep the precepts and because of the precepts and you make this aspiration with metta, with loving kindness, I want to be born with among the kshatriyas, among the nobles, that rebirth can come. Now, so this template repeats itself. So I won't read everything. I'll just read the keywords. So look at 16. Out the third line, I would arise in fellowship with the wealthy priests, the brahmins, right? So they're all brahmins. The Buddha is talking to them. So the Buddha said, yes, if you aspire after doing all these good deeds, good karma, you want to be reborn again among your other brahmins, that can happen too. Why? Because you are practicing the Dharmafaring. And 17, if you wish, I would arise in fellowship with wealthy houselords. Right? So these are the normal people who have homes, their own houses. That's also possible. So here, in summary, what is meant here is that you can, through keeping the precepts, make this aspiration. I want to be reborn in a happy state. All right, that is possible. In fact, even if you don't make your affair according to your good karma, right? All right, now the Buddha goes a little higher. So the Buddha gives a bit more teaching in terms of beyond this world. So now the Buddha talks about the nearest heaven, okay, number 18. If house Dharmafaring, one of the harmonious conduct, should wish, oh, how I wish, with the bodies breaking up after death, I would arise in fellowship with the devas of the 4 great kings, right? These are the lowest heavens. So then it is indeed possible for him, with the bodies breaking up after death, to arise in fellowship with the devas of the 4 great kings. And what is the reason for this? Because he's a Dharmafaring, right? So keeping the precepts. So you keep the precepts, you can aspire to be reborn in the realm of the 4 great kings, or you can, or 19. Here again we have all templates, so I'll just read to you the different line. Look at line 3. May I would arise in fellowship with the Tavatings Devas, the heaven of the 33. May I be reborn in Sakra's heaven of 33. That also is possible because you have kept all the precepts. Or you can aspire to go higher, next step, the Yama Deva. So this is the next step, the next level, the Yama Devas, the higher still. We don't hear much about these Devas. They're very happy and quiet. This also is possible, right? Or you can go one step higher, say, may I be reborn among the Tusita Devas. This is where the Bodhisattva is said to be, even at this moment. These are the heaven of the contented Devas, Tusita. So this is section 21. So again, it's possible if you aspire, you can be born on that level. And then the following, one more level up, they're called the Nimanarati Devas, who delight in creating. So these are the creator gods. They really enjoy creating because their mind is so powerful, they can just kind of manifest all these things, materialize around them. No? They have this kind of power. So you can be reborn in that kind of world if you aspire to, because you are keeping the precepts. And then 23, even one more step higher. These are the Paranimitta Vasavati Devas. These are the gods that are so powerful, they don't have to create. They just command the other gods, the gods below them, to create for them. So these are higher Devas. Even this level, so you can, through aspiration, be reborn there. These are the sense world devas. You can be reborn in any of the sense world devas if you want. And then the Buddha goes on a bit higher. He goes on to the next level, the dhyanas, the jhanas. 24. If houselords, the Dharmafaring is one of harmonious conduct, he keeps the precepts, and then he wishes that after dying, I would arise in fellowship with the gods of the Brahma world. The Brahma world is a first jhana level. This is the form world. It's beyond the sense world already, right? Now, this is interesting, see, because here some people may say, oh, how is this possible? Because you need to have jhana to attain this level, right? Because here the Buddha is only saying the possibility. He's giving this extra teaching to inspire these people. When they ask more questions, then the Buddha will say, okay, you do your loving kindness practice, and then you will attain jhana, and that's where you can reach this level. So you need jhana for this level. Just aspiring alone is a starting point. Then it will lead you to the next step, that is cultivating jhana. Then you can be reborn in this level of the Brahmas, the Brahmakayika Deva, first jhana level. Then section 25 are the second jhana level Brahmas, and they are called the gods of boundless radiance, Apanaba Devas. And then you have there are four levels of these gods in the second jhana level. Okay, you have they vary according to the brightness. So the first level in the second jhana, they're called the gods of radiance, Abhadeva. And then the higher still, their brightness is stronger. They're called gods of limited radiance, Paritabhadeva. And then the next level, third level, in the second jhana, you have the boundless radiance, Apamanava Devas. And then the highest level of the second jhana, you have the gods of streaming radiance, Abhasara Deva. Okay, so this is the realm of the second jhana. You can aspire to this, and you can reach it. And then the next level, 29, you have the third dhyana, heavens. Here again, you have four levels of devas. The first and the third dhyana is called the gods of glory, Subha Devas. Again, here they have this joy of the third dhyana. Or you can go higher still, the gods of limited glory, Paritab Subha Devas. And higher still, there is the gods of the boundless glory, Apanama Subha Devas. And the highest, the fourth stage of the third jhana, with the gods of radiant glory, Subhakina Devas. So these are beautiful, radiant beings of the third jhana. And then you have the fourth jhana. Fourth jhana is only one God mentioned there, level mentioned there, the gods of abundant fruit, we have Phala Devas. It's quite a high level. And you can aspire to that too, it's possible. Now the Buddha comes to the pure abodes. Okay? The Buddha says, if you as Dhammafarers, you keep the precepts and you aspire, I want to be reborn in the Aviha gods or the Atapa gods. Okay, here I'm jumping a bit. 35, the Atapa Devas. Then 36, the Sudasa Devas. Sudasa means that they are beautiful to look at. All right. And then next level, Sudasi Devas, so clear-sighted Sudasi. And then the Akanita Devas, the Supreme Brahmas, the highest of these are called the realms of the non-returners, the pure abodes. Okay. So here again, the Buddha says it is possible. The Buddha doesn't say you will be reborn, so it's possible you aspire to it. And then when the people ask, and the Buddha will tell them what are the other things to be done. So here, in a sense, the Buddha is just listing the possible places for rebirth. Then it comes to the last 4. 39, it says, if you aspire, having kept the precepts, you can attain the realm of infinite space. This is where the person lets go of form, and then his mind takes infinite space as the object, and he attains that level, formless realm. First level, formless realm. Then the second level of the formless realm is infinite consciousness. At this level, the mind is boundless. So in other words, the meditator lets go of the object of infinite space, then the mind is left, the mind is boundless. The mind is, the boundless mind is the object, and then he lets go of that object of the boundless mind also, then nothing is left, nothingness, so that's the object. So this is the third level of the formless realm, the realm of nothingness. And we come to the last realm, that is the realm of neither perception nor non-perception. This is so subtle, we can't say there is consciousness or not. So this is the highest level attainable at that time. So up to this point, what the Buddha has done, he has given all the happy planes. The Buddha is saying, if you keep the precepts, all these happy worlds are open to you. Of course, there is some more practice to be done, right? And then finally, what is beyond that? 43. If houselords, the Dharmafaring, one who is of harmonious conduct, should wish, oh, how I wish that right here and now, okay, notice this, right here and now, having realized for myself through direct knowledge, after attaining, dwell in the freedom of mind, freedom through wisdom that are influx-free with the destruction of the mental influxes. Here, in other words, what if I want to be totally free right now? It's possible also to become an arhat by starting to keep the precepts. So here we see the Buddha using a very interesting, skillful means, telling them, giving the motivation how to begin practicing the Dhamma so that all the heavens are open to them, and best of all, they can attain arahathood in this life itself. Right here and now, you can attain arahathood because you have kept the precepts. So here the Buddha is talking about potential and possibilities. And finally, section 24, when this was said, the Brahmin house masters, they were very happy. No? They said, excellent Master Gautama, excellent Master Gautama. Just as if Master Gautama, one were to place upright what had been overturned, or were to reveal what was hidden, or were to show the way to one who was lost, or were to hold up a lamp in the dark so that those with eyes could see forms. In the same way as the Dhamma, in numerous ways, been made clear by Master Gautama. We go to Master Gautama for refuge, to the Dhamma and to the community of monks. May Master Gautama remember us as laymen who have gone for refuge from this day forth for life. Right, so here you are, you see the Buddha talking about the stress is that keeping the precepts is the basis of the spiritual life, the Buddhist life. It opens up a heavenly rebirth to you, as well as attaining non-returning or attaining arahathood itself. It all must start with keeping the precepts. Okay, so that's the sutta. For 20 minutes now for questions.
Okay, thank you, Brother Piya, for explaining the sutta. I pass the session to Sister Isim now.
Thank you, Sister Wendy. Okay, hey, brother and sister, now you can type your question in the group chat, or you can raise your hand and unmute yourself to ask your question. Brother Piya, at the moment, there is no question in the chat box. Yeah, sure. Any brother, sister would like to ask question, you may do so. Oh yeah, there's a question from Maya Upal.
Yes, Maya.
Yeah, Brother Piya, what does it mean to be Dharmafaring?
Okay, in this sutta, the Dharmafaring is keeping the precepts, basically. But properly speaking, Dharmafaring refers to the practice, the three trainings of Buddhism. Three trainings. First, training in moral precepts, learning how to keep the precepts as the basis of, in other words, our body is disciplined, our speech is disciplined as the basis for mindfulness and mental training. That's the second training, mental cultivation. Okay, and the third training is wisdom training. We learn to see impermanence on the basis of the other two training. So sila, samadhi, panya. Sila is to keep us in harmony with the world, with everyone else. Our body and speech is at peace. Then we're not troubled thinking about all these things. So our mind also is at peace. Body at peace, mind at peace, wisdom arises. We direct it to freedom. That's called Dharmafaring. So the Dharmafaring is one of the practices of these three trainings, in other words. In fact, there was a time our small group lay people, we call it the Dharmafarers. Even today, you find some people use the term. So if you do use a term, do find out its meaning and practice it also for yourself. So this sutta talks about it, at least keeping the precepts properly. Faring here means to live in practice, to live the Dhamma as practice. Okay? Right, let's go on.
Well, thank you, Brother Piya.
Well, we have about 15 minutes more. You can ask your questions. Don't wait until last minute, huh? If you look at these notes, you'll notice this Sutta M41 is very close to the Cūļa Kamma vibhaga Sutta M135, which talks about karma and rebirth. Of course, there are always some variations. Here we see the Buddha talking at the level of the people. He's talking to inspire the people in the village of Sāla to at least keep the precepts. Right? So if they start doing that, that's a good start for them, basically. So you should not misunderstand the part where it talks about possible to be reborn all the heavens, meaning just keeping the precepts alone. That is the starting point. Right? So you find in the Dhammapada, there is a verse where the monks, the Thai monks especially, they would recite the blessing. Silena sukating yanti, silena boga sampada, silena nibuting yanti, tasma silang visodaye. So this line means, by keeping the precepts, you gain heaven, you go to heaven. By keeping the precepts, you gain wealth. By keeping the precepts, you attain nirvana. Therefore, keep the precepts pure. So that's all the verses say. But of course, we know very well it's not just keeping the precepts. You have to go on to cultivate the mind. You want to attain jhana if you want to attain arahathood in this life. But it begins with the basis of moral training. Once you have the moral training, all the good things, all the other good things are possible. So it begins with moral training. Yes, any other questions? This is quite an easy and direct sutta. I probably before I've understood most of it. Huh? Yes, any more questions? Meantime, Ratna, you can take a group photo for us.
Okay. Okay. Turn on your video, please.
Yes, okay. Yeah, make sure your face is full, huh? Okay. Okay, yes, that's good. Now we can see you. Okay. Yes, we are ready right now.
We're still waiting.
Oh, still waiting. Okay. Yeah, Phyllis, no, I think camera is not working, is it? Okay. We're ready. All right, shall we go on with the
Okay. Wait. Felice appear already. Lester.
all right.
Where's Lester?
Good to see some new faces also, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. All right.
Okay.
Right.
Ready?
Okay.
Smile. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
All right, let's go about 10 more minutes.
I'd like to ask a question.
Yes.
This is Charles.
Okay, Charles. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I've done a lot of reading of the sutras, but it's not too often that it's so explicit about the different heavens and so on.
Yeah, yeah.
And I really appreciate that information. But I guess my question is, how important is the aspiration, the desire to go to these heavens? Is that a practice we should develop, or do we just take the consequences of our good behavior as it unfolds as it on its own?
Yes. Yes, very, very good question. Very thoughtful question. Yeah. Right. Remember earlier on I said that the Buddha will consider the kind of audience he's talking to. Now here we're talking about this distant village called Sāla. They are Brahmins living together. They probably never heard of the Buddha Dharma before. And they believe in Brahma, they believe in all these Vedic gods and so on. So the Buddha is addressing this kind of people, right? And they are practical people, they are farmers and so on. So the Buddha is saying how they can start with their practice, okay? So by keeping the precepts, in other words. And they believe in all the different kinds of heaven, So the Buddha is saying, yeah, you can, through keeping the precepts, you can attain those heavens. Now, for many of us today, we know much more Buddhism than even these people. So we know, for example, you can bypass heaven, so to speak, even in this life itself through practicing meditation, you can be happy right here and now. So it depends on the kind of preconditioning you have had, whether you have all those conditioning from other religions, believing in a God idea, in the heavens, and so on. Otherwise, they're not really necessary. Here, the basic idea is that once you have a healthy moral life, the future good life, the many possibilities open for you. You have the choice. In fact, the other day I was talking with these medical students and doctors. I was mentioning a bit about all these devas also. That it's quite a problem talking about devas because I don't think any of us have seen them. We don't really know they exist or not, for example, right? So I was expressing a rather sort of bizarre idea. I was just thinking logically and freely. I told myself, if you look at the way the devas are described, the devas will come in the dead of night when it's very dark and people are asleep, and they will come with a great radiance, you know. And if you look in practical terms, not merely stories, or practical terms, what kind of beings would they be? And the devas are said to be living in great distances far away from our universe. Even the lowest heavens, the four guardian deities, they may be nearest to Earth, but they are a very great distance away. And there are many others in a different dimension. So if you begin to think in this way, what kind of beings are they likely to be? What kind of beings is the Buddha dealing with? And if they really exist, what kind of beings would they be? One possibility, now I'm not saying you must believe in this idea. One possibility is that you can say they are like living beings in other parts of the universe. I mean, they are definitely living in other parts of the universe. But when I mentioned the word aliens, some people are wondering, is that possible? You know, because it seems as if the aliens are different from the devas. But suppose, just imagine, if they are in what we understand similar. In other words, they are living in different universe, and they are this kind of powerful beings, and they are in communication with the Buddha. So, in other words, early Buddhism gives us this possibility that the universe is bigger than it is. There are living beings elsewhere in other parts of the universe. We may meet them one day. And I like to imagine this. It's very interesting. Let's say if aliens in the future come to meet us and they ask about religion. If we say, oh, you know, some people who are God believers say, do you believe in God? And then they will say, well, what do you mean? You know, oh, he created the earth, you know. Then these aliens will say, oh, okay, he created the earth, but our world is far away and different. We don't have that kind of idea. So you find the God idea will not work with these aliens. But when you talk about the Buddha, they say, oh, yes, we heard his teaching long ago, you know, and so on. And that'd be very interesting if you imagine it that way. So that gives a very interesting possibility to early Buddhism. But coming back to the real situation, we do not have to believe in all this. This aspect is not important for our practice. We can just say, well, there are other beings. It's possible for other beings to exist elsewhere, and we respect them as good neighbors. But keeping the precepts now, cultivating now, keeping our minds calm is good enough. We can attain stream winning in this life without even bothering about heaven at all. Yes, I would agree with Charles, that's possible too. So we have different choices here, depending on your own religious experiences, when you're younger. Okay, I hope that's
Thank you.
Yeah, clear enough. Yeah. Okay, any other questions?
Thank you, Brother Piya. There's a request from Brother Ryan Gore.
Okay.
Sadhu Bante, he requests, can you please repeat the 4-line verses?
Oh, Sīlena sugating yanti, Sīlena boga sampada, Sīlena nibuting yanti, Tasma silang visodaye. The monks often recite these 4 lines at the end of their blessing of the dana. Okay. Sīlena sugating yanti. Sugating is heaven. Okay. Through precept, one goes to heaven. Sīlena boga sampada. Boga means wealth, helpful possessions. Sīlena boga sampada. Through precept, you gain, you accomplish in wealth, in things that you need. Sīlena nibuting yanti. Through keeping the precepts, you attain nirvana. Tasma, therefore. Tasma silang visodaye. Therefore, keep the precepts pure. Silang precepts, visodaye, keep pure. Right? So those are the 4 lines. All right, 5 more minutes. Time's passing so fast, huh?
Hey, Brother Piya, I have a question.
All right, sure.
Yeah. Is it possible that a person before death, right?
Mm-hmm.
when they see something, the sign of was it a destination of their rebirth, next destination, or the moment before the mind before the death moment that will determine their next birth destination.
Yeah, okay, this is a question that often these local people hear teachings from other monks. They talk about the last sign that people see, kind of will tell you what's your next rebirth. My position now after listening to many sides is that it is uncertain. We cannot be too sure. For example, someone has been doing a lot of good deeds their whole life, and then they pass away, they were delirious because some medicine given to them or what. Then we religiously say, oh, you know, he didn't die happy, so he's reborn in unhappy state. We don't know. That last moment we do not know. We cannot know, right? But the basic principles are there. You want to know how a person is reborn, you look at what is their habitual karma, what are the good things they have done in their daily life. So this good karma will decide the rebirth of their future life. Even if they are, for some reason, they are reborn unhappy states, that unhappy state will be very short, like the story of the queen, you know, who died thinking something bad. So the rebirth will still be good. So if your habitual karma is good in this life, your rebirth will be good. If you're doing habitually bad karma, then of course your future rebirth will be bad either. So I used to believe in this teaching. I think probably they come to Sinhalese monks, you know, they want to have some populist idea, we said, in other words, to comfort people and give them some idea that even bad people can go to heaven and by just thinking good thoughts before they die. It's not that easy. Okay, I don't believe in this. Okay, because it's not spoken in the sutta, it's spoken by these monks. I'm not sure what are their ideas. That I don't think all the good karma you have done in your life can be cancelled by just one thought at the end of life, right? So that somehow that good karma will flow into the next life. Okay, this is my understanding now as I read the suttas. So if a person is good most of his life, the future life also will be good, no matter how he dies. But even then, we still feel happy by sending loving kindness to them, wishing them well and happy, because we do not know where they are reborn. That is something we should do to remember them as an important part of our living memory when they were alive, kind to us, basically. And then you apply that to yourself. I mean, you yourself have been trying very hard to do good things in your life, habitually practicing good karma, right? So we remember you for that too. So I hope that is a helpful answer. Okay. All right.
Thank you, Brother Piya.
Any last minute question? Because we are reaching the time now. Just one more minute to go. Okay, so we will close now with our usual reflection. Let us get ready with a closing salutation. So at this point, remember we have studied this sutta about 3 doors of action: body, speech, and mind, about avoiding the 10 wrong actions and practicing the 10 good actions, and using this as the basis for mindfulness and a calm mind, focused mind, samadhi, jhana, so that we can attain to the happy levels, and especially reaching the path in this life itself as a stream winner, or even higher if you want to. And you have kept the basic precepts today. You have recited the 3 Namo Tassa, 3 refuges, 5 precepts. You have listened to the suttas. Remember this happy moment. Keep it joyful. Remember this joy. This will help you in your meditation. And let us now bow our heads in gratitude to the 3 jewels that have given us this happiness. Arahang Sama Sambuddho Bhagava Buddhang Bhagavantang Abhivademi. Bow down to the Buddha. Swakato Bhagavata Dhammo Dhammang Namasami. Bow down to the Dhamma. Supatipanno Bhagavato Sāvaka Sangho Sanghang Namami. Bow down to the Sangha, to the noble Sangha. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.